And there was an interesting story in The Ringer today. I don't know if it came out today or yesterday, but basically they ranked the top 125 players in the NBA. And they ranked Nikola. I'll give you the top 5, Rob, and get your quick thoughts. Nikola Jokic, number 1. Giannis, number 2. Joel Embiid, 3. Steph Curry, 4. Luka Doncic, 5. And if you're wondering where KD is, he was number 6. I'll round out the top 10. Jason Tatum, 7. Kawhi Leonard, 8. Damian Lillard, 9. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 10. You're probably wondering where LeBron is, right?
Say that again. Let me hear that list again, Chris.
All right, number 10, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander,
okay.
OKC. 9, Damian Lillard. 8, Kawhi Leonard. 7, Jason Tatum. 6, Kevin Durant. 5, Luka Doncic. 4, Steph Curry. 3, Joel Embiid. 2, Giannis. And 1, Nikola Jokic. So Jokic, the best player. What are your thoughts on that list? LeBron, if you're wondering, was 13. AD was 12, and Devin Booker was 11.
There are those guys, Chris, I'm talking about. Those are the guys I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks.
The analytics.
The analytics guys who work at the Ringer. Those are those guys who are 30 years old. They're all into the analytics. Talked to you before, Chris, that the Joker leads in all of the most important analytical stats. The PER, 31.7, win shares, 14.9, box plus minus, 13.1, and value over replacement, 8.7. That's why it'll be a closer race than it probably should be, and I still believe that the Joker will win. Because these are the people, and I'm just talking about them as a group, not all of them. Right. You know what I'm saying when I say these people.
Right.
The analytics side, they have power. They have numbers. They have to justify their existence, Chris. Hello?
That's
is this on?
You are very right on that. And look.
They have to.
This is not all of them. Like, some of them played ball at some level. I'm not even talking about you got to play really high level, but played ball at some point, or, some of them really know the game in different ways. But Rob, and I'm glad you said justify their existence, because you know this, and this goes for basketball or baseball. It's not just the media. There are people working in these front offices.
In the front office, Chris, they're all over.
Yeah, who I've talked to a lot of former NBA players who are upset that they can't get certain jobs, and instead it's going to a guy that, like I said, I don't think you have to know had played to know the game, but they saying, guys that never played, guys that can't just watch guys on the court and say who can hoop, right? But they're just going by numbers. Strictly going by numbers.
It's not just the NBA, baseball too.
Right,
the front office is loaded with these guys. How many times have we talked about Dave Roberts with the Dodgers? Who's making the lineup out, Chris? Who's taking the pitcher out with a perfect game going? Who's taking all the left-handed batters out at Fenway Park?
Right. Dave Roberts played baseball.
Yes.
Now he manages it. He knows the game. Let him make some freaking decisions.
Ridiculous.
He don't know it better than you. In the NBA, Rob, they have GMs and front offices telling coaches. First of all, a lot of them are hiring the assistant coaches. They're not letting the head coaches pick their assistants. And a lot of them are even dictating the rotations and who's starting in the lineup and all of this. I mean, it's ridiculous. And you hit it on the head. Justify their existence.
Right. They have to. Otherwise, they say, well, what are you doing here? Why do we need 9 analytical people? and we just saw the Joker have all the best stats in analytics, and he didn't win the MVP. What are we doing here then?
Right.
What are you doing here?
I mean,
I'm just saying, Chris, that
It's and look, let me say this about Joker is
we're not
awesome.
we're not
Right.
trashing him at all. I'm
the
just
Joker
saying
is awesome, and all he's missing is some real postseason success. Now he got to the conference finals in the bubble, but I'm going to bring this up. And look, I know he's tough, and no question about that. Right, his brother's threatening guys, and he ran over one of the Morris twins, was one of the Morrises, and sat him out for a few. Like, he's a tough dude. I mean, nobody questioning that. But I do wonder, Rob, in the game, he is awesome. Does he have that dog? I don't know. I'm not saying he doesn't. What I am saying is when they did go to the conference finals in the bubble, Jamal Murray was the leading scorer and leading assist man. Now, Jokic leads them in everything. But the one time they had real postseason success, it was Jamal Murray really kind of showing that dog. And I'm not saying Jokic doesn't have it, but I want to see it come out. I want the dog to bark, and I want him to bite more this postseason. Rob, if Nikola Jokic leads the Nuggets to the championship, heck, maybe even to the finals, just to the Western, then everybody got to shut up. Because his numbers are ridiculous. But if they go out in the first round, maybe even the second round again, last year they got beaten 5 games by the Warriors. Now the Warriors went on to win it all, so okay. But still, I think Giannis is better. And I think I would take Embiid over him. And my main thing would be because of the defense. Jokic, obviously, a better passer, rebounds as well as those guys, but doesn't defend like they do. And the defensive analytics numbers, Rob, say he's actually pretty good. But let me tell you about some of these defensive analytics numbers. We all know how great of a defender Kawhi Leonard was, particularly when he was with the Spurs, right? Do you know that in the 2016-2017 season, when he was at the height of his powers, the analytics said that the Spurs defense was 9 points better per 100 possessions without Kawhi Leonard?
Wow.
So I'm just saying, this stuff isn't foolproof. This stuff isn't all some of the numbers aren't accurate. They're off. And Rob, we've talked about it, but it's worth saying again. In the 80s and 90s, they used to have the IBM MVP award. David Robinson won it more than anybody else. Is he better than Michael Jordan, better than Magic Johnson, better than Charles Barkley? I don't think he's better than Barkley, but some people might. But, he clearly wasn't the best player in the league, as great as he was, but the numbers. And so, yeah, I just think, Rob, that, I'm not, again, Jokic is great, and he's having a phenomenal year.
But for them to write that piece, Chris, given where a lot of people think that, right, that Embiid passed him. Right? It tells you something. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that they don't care. They don't care what.
And also, Rob, the fact, and I don't think this is the point you were making, but the fact that very few people expect Denver to win the West, what does that say? Does that mean they think that Jokic doesn't have any good teammates? Or is it that he's not quite as good as he's being lifted up to be?
That's a good question.
Like, why, if he's this guy, why don't, and they got the number 1 seed, and they've played well against the best teams in the league, why doesn't anybody think they're going to win the West?
Now, let me ask you this.
People.
And it just depends. I think if, say he wins it on a squeaker.
The MVP?
Yeah. And then they do get to the finals, Western Conference Finals. Would that change? You think that would change the narrative of behind him?
It would definitely change the narrative.
Okay. That would be.
Because, look, the guy is great. You can't argue with the numbers, and I know we've kind of been bashing him, but
We're just
Right,
bashing
it's
the
not just the analytical numbers.
It's just the right. It's
he
just
got great regular numbers. He's
Right.
almost averaging a triple-double. He's a point center. Like, he's the first point center in NBA history. And he is this is not to take away from him. My thing with the MVP is if you're going to do something that Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Giannis didn't do, and that's when 3 straight MVPs. Rob, we talked about it. Jordan's numbers went up that third year. He had won 2 straight MVPs. The numbers got better his third year, and he didn't win it. Because there's been a little, whether it's voter fatigue or whatever, but my thing is, if you're going to get the award and do something none of those guys did, then you got to be head and shoulders above the other candidates. And I think it's close between, and like I said, to me, on the defensive end of the ball is where I give Giannis and Embiid the advantage over Jokic. But I'll say this, Rob, if he leads a team to the finals, then the conversation will and should change. Because we could talk about Steph, right, not being a great defender, and even, Larry Bird or Magic weren't terrific defenders. But you know what? It never stopped them from winning. And that's the thing. Right now, I'm looking at Jokic's D and saying, maybe that's a reason they're not winning or, in the playoffs. If he overrides that with just such great offense or whatever, then you can no longer really hold that against him. So that's kind of my thought.